Oh, no.
All set.
I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order, starting with pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
First order of business is consent agenda. Recommended action: approve the following items which are included in the consent agenda: 5A minutes, 5B minutes, 5A minutes from 5/9, 5B minutes from 5/17, 7B sports merger, 7E rework organizational meeting date change, 7F appointment of council, 7H special education. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Second. Thank you, Colleen. One. Colleen. Any changes? Alterations? Discussion? Not vote.
Six yes.
Next up is for the good of the cause. Is there anyone who would like, in the public who's not on the presentation schedule, like to speak?
And I don't have any emails.
No emails. Information for the public, you'll see a note about the use of employee ID numbers in the personnel agenda. Just information there. Just curious. Available. And next up is our presentation section. So I'll turn it over.
Okay, actually, I'm going to start just by introducing. Sure.
Thanks for your patience. See, all this thing is my bane of my existence. So let me figure out I could drag. Okay, there.
So do I just click you?
No, I'll
Oh.
give you the keyboard so that. We might be a better idea. That's start from beginning. Here's your
Okay. I'll try to do it afterwards. So I'm here to introduce some members of the Lake Placid Environmental Club. I'm the club advisor, and we have about 15 students that are really actively involved in the club from throughout all of high school, so 9 through 12. And so I'm not clicking. Okay. So recently, I just wanted to let you know that we had a few students that worked with the Adirondack Youth Climate Program from the Wild Center, and we attended a youth summit, and it was the first ever youth summit in Sudbury, Canada. And 3 of our students were very much involved in running workshops and plenaries for that summit for other students. I'm just gonna, okay. What was really cool was they had the opportunity to meet Jane Goodall there, who was and attend the movie premiere and press conference with her, and it was the first time she had ever seen the movie. It was a 15-year movie in the process, and it was really amazing. And you'll see Lily and Nadia both there in the crowd, able to have conversation with her. So I'm gonna click you. Am I clicking you, or does this work?
What is it you're trying to?
I'm just trying to go next
Oh,
without having to.
so there you go.
Oh, it's the other button. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, so this is, they presented a workshop on climate action planning to over 200 students. And in there, they highlighted a lot of the really cool projects that they've been involved in right here in Lake Placid. There we go. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Lily, who was one of the students that was on that trip.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lily Rother, and I'm here representing the Lake Placid Environmental Club. And this is our presentation on how Lake Placid High School can transition towards a more sustainable school. So our first thing we would like you to consider is transitioning from single use milk cartons to a refillable milk dispenser, and Kira will explain more about how that will make our school more sustainable. And Phil will also show you his recommendations and how we can make this transition. And the second thing I would like you to consider is adding a new purchasing amendment to avoid the purchase of single-use plastic water bottles in our school district. All right, and now I'll hand it over to Kira.
My name is Kira Bouchard, and I just joined Environmental Club this year, but I felt really welcomed and very proud of what I'm trying to accomplish during it. So to start off, I would like to say why a milk machine, and the brief definition here is quoted from a New London High School case study on milk cartons versus milk machines, and known as, and to quote, reusable, refillable, and insulated multi-soil containers that can hold 3 to 5 gallon bags of liquid milk instead of the single-use cartons. As I sort of mentioned earlier, milk machines will replace the cartons that we are currently using, which end up in the trash a lot. These are 3 case studies from 3 different schools about schools who have already made the switch from milk cartons to milk machines using their own. From New London Spicer High School, from the Wildlife Fund, and from Bluestone Elementary School. Because it is a school, children are definitely a concern. So milk being very nutritious to children, it's a concern of that they're actually wanting to drink the milk and actually feeling okay with doing that. This is from the New London Spicer High School study, and this is one of their graphs on milk consumption, milk cartons versus milk dispensers. And it shows it's 8 servings a day, and it shows the difference between milk cartons versus milk machines. This is another graph from the North Carolina High School study, and it shows the pre-dispensers and post-dispensers of, it's cut off with the daily milk consumption of students within the high school, milk machines versus milk cartons. We would also like to bring up the concern of packaging and milk waste from milk cartons versus milk machines. Pre-dispensers, this is showing the volume of waste and packaging used to package milk cartons versus milk dispensers. The number 1 source of plastic contamination in our schools, compost, and we find a lot in the trash while sorting through compost, is milk cartons, since people are throwing them away. This is from, again, New London Spicer High School, and this shows the next argument of energy and space saving, the milk coolers versus milk dispensers. Milk coolers using more electricity and energy power versus a milk dispenser, also the milk machine. The brief paragraph there, 2 quotes, is to able to cut their energy usage in half by switching to dispensers. This is what they said about after their switch. In the cafeteria at the moment, we have bought these reusable cups instead of plastic cups in the cafeteria, and paper cups that we find in compost a lot, and these ones are washable in our dishwashers as well. Other schools such as New London High School, Spicer High School, and the North Carolina High School have had to spend more of money to be able to buy tables, buy cups, buy everything else that they would need for these. We already have things such as dishwashers, tables, and cups. We've already bought those things, so the only cost would be to get the dispenser itself. I'm gonna hand it over to Mr. Barber, Phil, who will talk about the cafeteria staff's concerns as well as the grant opportunities.
I am Phil Barber, Food Service Director. I've been working with them throughout the year to make changes to the cafeteria, the goal of getting greener. They did put in for a grant towards a milk machine. It was $1,000 grant. We're hoping to get it. They should have an answer within the next couple weeks. Oh, now I'm doing it. Oh boy, I need to go back and thank you. Not only do the milk cartons, they find them in the compost. They're also added work for the cafeteria. We have to stock the coolers every day with them, and they a lot of the times come in dirty. We're working on doing a lot more things in the cafeteria from scratch, and as I've heard or seen, we're moving towards that direction. It has been a process with the staff we have, and just taking away from the small steps of stocking a cooler of milk, we could put that towards something more productive, as in doing more scratch meals. Thank you. I have a list here of things I would eliminate. As I said, the milk cartons, a lot of the times they come in, 1 or 2 of them will be smashed and it will ruin the whole stack of them. We have to spend the time to scrub them and wash them before we stock the cooler. I did state already about stocking the cooler, and we've been having an issue with cartons as well, seem to be spoiling faster. The bags usually have a more extended life and they don't get as much bacteria in them because it's just one unit where the milk comes out instead of having each different carton. So the milk tends to last a lot longer. And in the long run, I know a lot of things come down to cost, and it would eventually pay for itself, I'd say within the first year or two. Buying bulk milk tends to be cheaper. And with the amount that we go through, it would really cut back on the cost, and as well as kids. If they want milk, they'll take it, and they'll take as much as they're probably actually going to drink, rather than having to take the carton and they only want a couple sips. Also, New York State, I've been working with a couple of my vendors. If we buy milk or any item that's New York State, we put towards a 30% purchase that will get us bigger reimbursements for school lunches. Upstate Farms is the New York State milk that we would get. I haven't been getting it recently just because the hood milk in the containers has been cheaper. But if we switch to this, I'd be able to do that, which would get us more money for reimbursements. This was the model that I had found that I thought would work for us. It holds 2, 3, 5, or 6 gallon bags, because we have to offer 2 milks per the federal law. One would be chocolate and then 1%. As you can see, it's a little bit over $3,000 with the grant. If we get approved for it, it would be looking at around $2,300 coming from the budget from the school. Yeah.
When they push this down, does it dispense like a certain amount, like 6 or 8 ounces, or does the student just hold it and?
They would hold it.
Okay.
So done. The cups that they had bought were 8-ounce cups,
Okay.
which is the portion size they're supposed to have. So, and yeah, they would have to, usually, I don't know exactly this model, the model I've worked with before, yeah, you push on it and it kind of lets out and then let go when you want to stop.
Okay, no, I wasn't sure, sometimes when you stop at places where you hit the button like an 8 ounce or a 12
Right.
ounce cup or something, okay.
No,
Thank you.
this one's not automatic. Here's just a graph showing that how staff responded. As you can see, a lot of them would recommend moving the milk dispensers rather than the cartons. So I think a lot of it has to do with labor, because it can be a process every day to load the coolers. You have to rotate as well, make sure the old one's coming to the front, and it can just be time consuming. So you see most of the people have voted towards, they strongly agree that they would switch to the dispenser over a carton. Now back to Lily.
So our second ask is to add a purchasing amendment to avoid the use of unnecessary single-use water bottles and to avoid the purchase of single-use plastic bottles altogether. So the goal of my project is to help our school begin to transition out of its single-use mindset that is causing so many of the issues that we are facing right now. So I'm sure everyone is very aware of the environmental concerns that come around with single-use plastic water bottles, but many people aren't aware of the health concerns. So plastic contains lots of chemicals like BPA, PVC, phthalates, and when you have water in a plastic water bottle, those chemicals can leach into the water, and when you drink the water, those chemicals are now in your body and they can cause some serious health concerns. Another concern is the environmental concern. So lots of the plastics that have been produced aren't actually being recycled. Many of them end up in landfills or in our environment. So recycling is not a solution to the plastic issues that we are facing. Many of the times when we think we're recycling plastics, they end up in landfills or incinerated just because it's not really profitable to recycle many of the plastics. And when a plastic does get recycled, it's not recycled in the way you think it might be. It's like downcycled, so it's turned into a lower grade material. So if you were to recycle a plastic water bottle, it would then be turned into a lower grade material like textiles or a plastic bag. So our recycling center in Lake Placid sends our recyclables to mills out of state. Those plastics are compacted and stored there until they can be transported again, most likely overseas where they'll be incinerated. So about a month ago, there was a fire at a plastics recycling plant in Indiana, and it forced 2,000 to evacuate. It released tons of toxic and harmful chemicals into the air. So when plastics are incinerated or there's an accidental fire at a plastics recycling plant, it releases tons of really harmful and bad chemicals. They're harmful to people and the environment. So the solution to this plastics issue is not recycling, it's stopping the use of single-use plastics. So our school has taken the steps to make this transition very easy and very possible. So on every floor of the high school, we have water bottle refilling stations. And thanks to the Lake Placid Environmental Club, we now have reusable cups available in the cafeteria for students and teachers to refill at the water bottle refilling stations. And I've noticed that they're working very well. I see a lot more students in my lunch drinking water. So I understand that there are times when single-use plastic water bottles are needed, like school events, games, trips, dances. And for those times, I ask that we only purchase plastic water bottles made out of more easily recycled materials like aluminum. So when like aluminum can is recycled, that aluminum can be melted down and turned to that same aluminum can again. So recently, these more sustainable options have become a lot more available in our area. All the Orta facilities and at the FISU games, they use rainwater. It's sustainably sourced spring water packaged in aluminum bottles using absolutely no plastic in the packaging process. And the price is fairly comparable. It's not too much more expensive compared to like Aquafina. It's only about a $5 difference. So I use the language that I saw in the school board policies, and I wrote a draft purchasing policy, kind of explaining what I thought it might look like. So I'm worried that you guys might have concerns at this time. Maybe that students would prefer to drink a sugary drink if they don't see water bottles available in the cafeteria. And if that is a concern, we can always put aluminum cans in the refrigerators. And the environmental club can always educate students about the reusable cups available for them. And you also might be concerned with the increased cost of aluminum cans. And if that's the case, I would like you to consider the human health costs and environmental costs of single-use plastics. I personally wouldn't mind paying a little bit more for my water, knowing that it was safer for me and the environment. So about a month ago, I presented to the town board. I asked them to put in place a municipal ban on single-use plastic water bottles and install water bottle refilling stations in town. So they seemed very open to the idea of a municipal ban. They said that they would put it on the June agenda and discuss it further. And they also agreed to put 2 water bottle refilling stations throughout town, one at the new pickleball and volleyball courts, and one in the town hall building. All right, and to conclude my presentation, I would like to thank everyone for coming and listening. Thank you.
What a great presentation. Both everybody here today, like exciting, and the rainwater. I don't know, I just think that's awesome. Really, really well put together.
Thank you.
I'd rather see.
That will work.
And,
Good job, yeah.
I feel like that.
I had that glass, the white one in the refrigerator.
So
Yeah.
awesome. I'm glad you went to the town board too. And what a great idea to have a water station up by the beach, because just
Yeah.
people walking around the lake all the time.
That was- Yeah, that was one of the locations that I suggested.
Good for you guys.
Thank you very much for doing all the research as well. It's very well thought out and well researched presentation.
And Phil, when is the timeline again for the grant? To hear back?
15, we should know, yeah,
they should
yeah,
know,
so
sure.
not like within the next week or two.
This also be for the elementary level, the milk system.
Not yet, it would just be for high school.
Okay.
Unless you guys want to buy 2.
Yeah, some of the other kids all feel.
Yeah, no, I'm just putting, I can see your garden up. This is a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of concepts.
Any other questions?
Thank
Great, nice job.
We come to the reports portion of the meeting, starting with operations.
My report is going to focus on updating the board with the outing club storage structure that was presented a while ago, and then a couple meetings ago, you guys did approve, the board did approve the secret resolution, so that we can start moving forward with that. But since then, the outing club, myself, Sonia Franklin, Dave Mayberry, we all met at the elementary school and kind of did a walkthrough of the sites that's considering. Basically, we're looking at, if you were to pull into the lower parking lot at the elementary school, go to the playground, there is off to the right a piece of flat land just before the trail entrance that we're looking at. It's easy access for members coming in and out. It's away from the school enough where it poses minimal security concerns. Everyone took a look at it, Sonia Franklin, Dave Mayberry, Tim and I, we looked at it, I think last fall, for the first time. So it was an ideal spot. So they have received almost $50,000 through the REAP grant. So that's kind of what's getting it going. Mike Beanie, construction, he's going to be taking the lead in terms of the construction portion of it. It is a cedar knoll prefab manufactured structure. I think I shared the diagram with the board a couple meetings ago. It's like an 8 or 10 page document. outlining it as kind of a log cabin like look structure, open space. Meeting tomorrow with Kimball Davy. He's going to meet up with us tomorrow morning to talk about the electrical and what would need to happen if they decide. And Karen's put the structure up on the screen, so you can see that. I guess they decided to do away with the overhang or like the porch aspect, so just make it more like a storage garage. I call it. It's a little bigger than the shed. So we're meeting tomorrow with Kimball Davy to look at that. The possibility of going solar has also been thrown out there as well. The area seems to gets a good amount of light throughout the day, so that's something that is being considered as well. I've already submitted the letter of intent with state ed because we had to run it through state ed, so we're in that process. I shared this document with them as well as the secret resolution. Now I'm just waiting on the final stamp, the engineer diagrams, and the stamped version of it, so it's final, and then submit to the state. So it has all of the engineer's approvals of it. So that's kind of like the next step. Mike Beanie is putting together kind of like a cost structure. There's hope that there will be a number of cost sharing. The person from the town was there at the meeting, as well as Derek Doty. The town potentially will do the digging in the landscaping, the back, creating the footers and all that. It sounds like they're going to use full rock for the foundation and the slab portion of it. So it's kind of, hopefully, probably nothing is going to happen this summer, but the hope is maybe the fall time or early spring is really the time for that. So that's kind of where we are with the outing club structure. And we are moving forward with the auditorium upgrades. We're working with Mosaic on that one specifically. So the letter of intent has been submitted as well. So we're moving forward with the auditorium repairs as well. In the weight room, sorry. Yeah, that's going forward. That's kind of separate. We don't need to go through state ed for the weight repairs. We can do that just through them.
I've got my quick question. I know maybe when we were during the budget season, there's some talk about like the buses and the electric buses. Is it true that 2027 that the fleet has to start phasing out electric?
Yeah, the during last year's budget cycle, by 2027, they now will no longer be able to purchase gas or diesel buses. They can only purchase electric buses. Then by 2035, your entire fleet has to be electric.
And that's under the current
That's-
administration.
That's under the current law as it is right now. Talking to our state auditors, she mentioned that it's very likely that the 2027 year and dates will be changed. Just because of the infrastructure.
Yeah, no, I remember having
Yes.
districts do your own substations. And really,
So I'm basically taking I'm going to wait until the last minutes.
Yeah.
I'm not like, oh, we're going to scramble, but not looking to purchase anything today. I mean, case in point, I was reading an article late last week. There was a school in the Syracuse area that received a grant for $395,000 for a bus, and they turned it down. They said, no, thank you, because of all the things that, we just talked about. The infrastructure, there's an added cost of putting the charging stations in. Is there going to be enough power from the grid to support this? So because of these unknown answers to these questions, this school said, no, thank you, we'll wait and see. That's kind of the approach I'm going to take.
Will that even cover one bus?
$395 would cover one bus, but it wouldn't cover putting in the charging station.
No.
There lies, right, that's kind of the unknown, right? Yeah, you might get money for a single bus, because I think the state contract right now is like 405. or $5,000 for a bus. And if you want the added battery, you go from 100 miles to 200-mile range, it's like another $65,000.
You just have to wonder if it'll ever actually go to fruition.
Right. You know, so
Seems like a funky concept. I don't know.
Well, you bring up a point there with the extra battery. I mean, all of our away games for
Stuck in
most
the
of our
night.
sports are
Right.
100 miles away.
You know, do you, then,
You know.
if that's the case where you know, wherever school you're going to, you have
You
additional
charge.
charging stations so that the visiting teams can park and charge their bus while the game is being played, and then do you charge that school for being, you know, plugged into your, because obviously these
They're
charging
probably gonna
stations.
do the same thing.
Absolutely. You know,
I
but
don't
it's
know.
it's an added cost, and so it's. We still have a couple of years,
Well, anyway,
but that's my report.
thank you.
Thank you, Dan. All right, information for the board. You'll see the end of year dates there. Elementary school, high school. See, invitation, both back and forth and graduation. See unit drawings for that Karen had pulled up there, as well as caps.
And I also put in the link for the summer law. It's under the administrative content. I didn't want to get lost.
Oh, gotcha.
If anybody wants. We had live virtual and in person.
Just look at you.
There's several.
Closest one is Albany.
Like,
Where's the farthest one?
Long Island.
June 29th in Binghamton, July 18th in Long Island, July 20th in Albany.
All the exact locations.
You can do virtual.
And then you can do virtual.
So if anyone's interested in Albany. Listen. Let
for your
your-
living room.
Or your living room.
Volunteer Ron, he's not.
That's right. Currently motorcycling in Scotland, so
Scotland, so.
Wow.
they don't have a law conference out there. So he's just motorcycling. All right. Now we'll be moving along. Next up is the superintendent's report. Get a good one.
All right, lots to report on. So on Monday, June 5th, this week, the World Language Department had a conference. They brought in an expert that really far beyond our region. Mike Pito is pretty well respected. He's taught in North Carolina and Maine, and Massachusetts, but his area of expertise is language acquisition and really isolating the, I believe it's 16 words that can really assist in language acquisition in foreign language. So Kara Atkinson, our department leader for world language, wrote a grant to the Adirondack Foundation. She received the full funding for it and it paid for this in its entirety. We had over 30 professionals from all over the region attend. It's rare to have a conference that is specialized to this degree for world language. I was in the library and I received innumerable emails from my colleagues in other districts thanking us for putting this opportunity together. So it was very well done, and congratulations to Ms. Atkinson. Thank you to her and her team for putting that together. We are inching closer towards finalization of the strategic plan for the board's review, but in anticipation for a September 1st launch, coinciding with the start of the school year, we have enlisted the help of recent graduate Caleb Myhill. So you may recall Caleb started the Blue Bomber News, and during the FISU games had quite an experience in working alongside NBC in building content, videos, and B-roll footage and things like that. So Caleb is back home from his first year in college and is steeped throughout the district in creating a series of videos that we will launch through social media And on the first day of school, each video tailored to one of the aspects of the vision statement of the district, where we hope to see ourselves in the future of a district that's united, engaged, and empowered. So even just being at Community Day and the concerts, Kayla's really been entrenched everywhere. So we're excited to see the results of that work, and I look forward to sharing it with you when it's completed in August. Speaking of events, it's event season. The district concerts, art and technology showcases are halfway through. Even this evening, there's orientation for our upcoming fifth graders, soon to be sixth graders. So there's plenty going on. The chorus and band concerts are basically K through 12 concerts. Last week's was the chorus concert across the board. So it culminated in a few exciting ways. Started with our youngest students with Ms. Briggs, and then it advanced to our seniors who were celebrated by Mr. Prosper. And then all of our students, over 110, participated in 2 songs at the end, which was really great to see on stage together. Mr. Prosper also breathed some life into our school song. Did a really great job with it in the rendition of the chorus, select chorus provided for everyone, so that was great. And we also had the art showcase and tech showcase. So tons of people involved in this initial concert, and the second one is the full K through 12 band concert, and that will take place tomorrow in the gym. But in advance of that, and on the heels of the chorus concert, thanks to Mr. Robinson, Ms. Huber, Ms. Briggs, Mr. Prosper, Mr. Valley, and Ms. Kakuka for their work. These concerts are pretty great, very well attended. Purchase of virtual reality headsets and more. So the LEAF grant that our district technology team put together with Carissa Merrihew at the helm is starting to come to fruition. So recently we received 40 virtual reality headsets that will enable both buildings to have students take virtual field trips. You can also hold a cube in your hand, and with the virtual headsets, the cube can be turned into innumerable objects. Carissa was telling me about with that, you can hold a rendering of a human heart and then look at all the chambers of the heart. You can look at an engine block, all of these different things. But I'm a big seeing is believing guy. So in the fall, at one of our earlier board meetings, we'll all have an opportunity, the board will have an opportunity to try these out and get a sense of some of the newer technology that our students are going to be able to avail themselves to. So pretty exciting in regards to that.
Too bad they didn't wait for the Apple Vision Pro to come out, $3,500 up.
Yeah. Community schools continues to generate enthusiasm and steam behind it. Most notably, I woke up literally this morning and wanted to include this in the report that for educators, sort of the premier media outlet for us is the NEA, the National Education Association. They put a magazine together weekly. It's like the Time magazine for educators. They also have a website. And we were one of the schools that was included in the write-up about the importance of community schools. It was great and completely unsolicited. So that's just wonderful. So I put the link in there. If you go to the bottom of the story, there's a map, interactive map, and you can see all of the schools across the country that participate in the program, and they have some information about what we've done. It's pretty exciting.
Tim, was Keith able to go to the, I don't know, it's a national community schools conference this week somewhere?
I think it is. I don't know the location because I know that the Saranac Lake team is there right now. So we haven't gone. Keith isn't going this year, but I do think it's something that we're going to look into going to, especially if we are successful with our grant submission for full service community schools in September. So, yeah. But we do have sort of 3 major programs for our students this summer. One is a robotics camp at the Northwood Hub. And so there's max capacity. This is for middle school students only. It's 20 students can participate in this. It's a week long. Each 2 students are paired and then they are given a kit to assemble a robot under the direction of Mr. Carlson and Mr. LaValle, who will be assisting. And the camp filled up in 2 days. So we're super excited about that. The kindergarten camp for our incoming UPK students will be the last week of August. So I'm excited to see that come to fruition as both the superintendent and as a parent of an incoming UPK student. So that'll be exciting. And then Keith is working with the town of North Elba on a sports camp for the summer. And the intention of that camp is sort of to be like a potpourri of experiences for younger kids to get an idea of what sports they may want to lean into that they may not have exposure to present. All 3 of those are great initiatives that Keith is leading. Capstone and AP environmental science presentations. They are in full swing. We do have, I believe, I can't pull up my calendar here, but I want to say it's the 9th. That's the AP environmental science presentations. They're taking place from 12:30 to 3. It's the 8th. You would absolutely know that. Yeah, Dan, that's good.
It is the 8th,
Awesome.
12:30 to 2:45.
Perfect. So the AP environmental students will be presenting their work. And we also, on the 13th, is a full day presentation of capstones for our seniors, the ones that weren't able to be scheduled towards the end of the day up until this point. I've been able to attend some of those capstones and they are really impressive. We have a student who started their own fly tying business and brought in all of their kit and showed the website that they created and the revenue that they've generated to date, the connections they've made in Wilmington, just to see that happen. We have students who have put on ice shows for the community, learned a particular skill set. So the capstone experience is a really great experience for our kids. And Mrs. Kyler has done a wonderful job in leading that initiative this year. And Miss Morgan, who, as you know, was here earlier, does a great job with the AP environmental science students as well.
The 12th is awesome.
12th, both
Yeah,
days,
12th
12th
and
and 13th. Awesome. Just a little bit of a couple of shout outs I'd like to give. So recently there was a meeting of basically all of the business leaders, school and community leaders and event organizers for the major events that come into town each year, like Can-Am and lacrosse, Ironman, et cetera. And the sentiment in that meeting was that all of these event organizers want to really be even more forward with how they are showing the community their gratitude for being able to come here annually. Their sentiment is that they don't want to just kind of come in, run their event, leave. They want to leave a lasting impression that'll be of value to the people who live here all the time. And so thanks to that meeting and others that have been scheduled, Can-Am and Summit Lacrosse, both they've supported our district in many ways over the years, but they've really kind of doubled down on what they're doing to support our kids and community. So Can-Am is paying for a part of the Lake Placid Library Summer Enrichment Program, which is great. I attend that with my son, and it's the weekly offerings are excellent. And Summit Lacrosse is tripling the usual donation that they give to our varsity club. So it's really nice to see this level of commitment from event organizers who historically come to town. A cafeteria shout out. You had an opportunity to hear from Phil Barber, our food service director, who is going to be culminating his first year here. And Phil has really done an outstanding job in making the meals fresher, more local, adding greater variety, and also just making the experience of getting your meals friendly. So in both cafeterias, I've tried different meals over the past month and I've been impressed. I count myself to be a foodie. So I think the work that they're doing is really good, and I'm excited to see that we have a consistent leader in that department who is making inputs in that area. St. Agnes, if you have not been on the mailing list in the past week, then you may not know, but next year our UPK program, which is run in cooperation with St. Agnes, will be helmed by the longtime assistant principal, Katie Turner. Katie's a parent of a student in our district. And Catherine Bemis will be stepping down. She'll continue in advisory capacity for St. Agnes, but this is part of a transition plan that St. Agnes has been working on for a number of years. And I had an opportunity to sit down with Katie and Catherine last week and feel very confident that the consistency that we would hope to see in a transition will take place. So thanks to Catherine for her work over the years, and congratulations to Katie, and we look forward to working with her. And then Community Day took place on Sunday. Mr. Clark manned a booth for community schools. There were 40 booths in total. The attendance at the event was extraordinary. Having attended last year and then going this year, I think there may be 5 times as many people this time, which was great. So there were a number of things that were of note that took place. Grace Erickson, a graduating senior, was awarded the Youth Volunteer of the Year Award. Grace is an outstanding human, student, person, and she has volunteered in innumerable ways, helping at almost every event that comes into town. She did her capstone project this year on the Woods program. She was someone who spoke about always living in the park and yet not really having that sort of experience that she got from the Woods program. And, so needless to say, congrats to Grace Erickson. She is a fantastic representative for our school. Congratulations to her. Also, thanks to Trish Friedlander for dancing in an alien costume with me, and creating sufficient blackmail for Miss Angelopoulos
Oh, I was
for
getting
many
ready to pull the
years.
picture up.
And all told, just a really great event. Anyone who didn't have a chance to go this year, I encourage you to go. It's a lot of fun. And then just the last part of my report is just massive numbers of days of events and tests and things that were I to expound upon this in session, we would break the board's 2-hour length of time preference. So in that note, this is in the public section. So if there's anyone from the public that would like to reference all of the end of the year dates in one place, then the last page of my report can provide that. That is my report.
I'm assuming you're gonna put that picture.
I'm waiting.
information-
I tried to bring it up.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
Oh, just.
I wasn't
just send it
fast
around.
enough. I wasn't fast enough.
Thanks.
I think everyone should have a copy of the Geneva Safety. Back up.
Although Billy Jones posted a great picture of the two of them on Facebook.
I think I saw that.
Yeah.
I know it was Tim, you looked out of like character.
Out of character,
That's
yes.
right. I went incognito too with the hat. I was really
think
trying to
saw it.
blame
Guys
Wolf.
all over the place.
Yes.
It was really nice to see.
All right, so next up is linking goals with agenda items.
And actually, I moved it to the end where it's supposed to be. Sorry, I
Oh.
deleted it. You just don't
If
know.
you put in the agenda, I'm gonna read it.
I know, I moved it. I was like, wait, I'm supposed to move that. Sorry.
It was blank, I kept clicking on it.
It's not there.
All right, 5A and 5B are in consent. That brings us up to personnel matters. First is the personnel consent agenda. Recommend action upon recommendation of the superintendent approve the following personnel consent agenda. 6B, C, D, E, and F, teaching staff tenure recommendations. 6G, teaching assistant tenure recommendations. 6H, reappointment of community schools coordinator. 6I, teaching staff maternity leave and extended leave requests. 6J, teaching staff resignations. 6K, teaching assistant resignation. 6L, long-term teaching assistant appointment. 6M, mentor appointment. 6N, CSEA position change from 10-month to 12-month. And 6O, creation.
Sorry, am I messing with you? Am I messing with
Yeah,
you?
have we gotten up to O before? I think P.
Yes,
got-
we have.
So 6O, creation. P, first. Colleen 2, and then Colleen 1 on the second. You guys, any of you guys could have been
It's amazing that Dan's retiring.
Like how they lump you in.
Yeah.
All right, if there are no changes or discussion, please vote.
Six yes.
Thank you very much, everyone. So congratulations to the following educator whose tenure was granted in the personnel consent agenda: Catherine Haney, Sam Baker, Caitlin Kozak, Elizabeth Stratford, Jennifer Tuggy, and Kathy Bliss. Also, good luck to Kristen Hutchins and Christina Granger in their future endeavors as they prepare to leave the district. And congratulations to Keith Clark as he prepares to serve as community schools coordinator for the second year. So all of them, right? Okay. So additional action item 7A, recognition of scholar athletes. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the attached resolution regarding recognition of scholar athletes. I'll read this.
You're gonna read it? Oh, so good.
I'm gonna read it because we're gonna recognize them. So I can spend the time. They put forth the effort to read. Whereas the New York State Public High School Athletic Association recognizes individual athletes in high school athletic teams for outstanding performance, both academically and athletically, by awarding designation as scholar athletes and scholar athlete teams, respectively. And whereas the Lake Placid High School athletic teams have received scholar athlete team awards and athletes have been designated as scholar athletes, meaning that the teams and individual students respectively have excelled both on the field and in the classroom. And whereas the Board of Education of the Lake Placid Central School District is proud of the accomplishments of these Lake Placid High School athletic teams and students and wishes to recognize their academic and athletic accomplishments, therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby expresses its congratulations to the following Lake Placid High School athletic teams, including individual team members and coaches, for being recipients of the Scholar Athlete Team Awards. For girls varsity softball with a 92.32 average. Girls varsity lacrosse with 95.9 average. Girls varsity track with a 94.92 average. Boys varsity track with a 90.04 average. Boys varsity tennis, 95.01 average. Girls varsity tennis with 94.82 average, and varsity golf with a 90.05 average. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby expresses its congratulations to Lake Placid High School student athletes for meeting the rigorous standards established to achieve scholar athlete status. Thank you, Dan. Do I have a second? Thank you, Joan. Please vote if they have discussion.
Congratulations.
6 yes.
And one of those teams broke a school record, I heard, at the track meet, the 3,200. Andrew Scania, yeah, broke the school, his own personal best and the school record.
And Andrew told me today that Kai,
Ty McKinnon is also.
but she broke a record too, because she did it, like, we don't run the steeplechase. But he was saying that she broke whatever record we had by a lot.
Yeah,
So-
that's great.
I haven't been to states in 7 years.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Must be those coaches.
Must be that coach with the blue hair, blue and yellow hair that goes to, works at Saranac School District.
There you go. Must
And
be.
I told her she's gotta go with blue and yellow hair, and she did. So,
Next up, 7B is first merger, recommended action be resolved of Lake Placid Central. Oh, was that on consent? Oh, good.
The sports mergers, yes.
There we go. Good. Recommended action be resolved that the board hereby ratifies the negotiated agreement between the district and the Lake Placid Education Association, NYSUT, FCO, and authorizes the funding of those monies necessary to implement the provisions of the 2023 to 2027 collective bargaining agreement. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Thank you, Colleen. Second? Thank you, Colleen. Yep. If any discussion or comments?
A lot of hard work went into it, and I think it's impressive that we're able to offer that 4.75% to our people. That's great.
I think with all the things they've gone through in the last 3 years,
A lot, but
It's-
I mean,
it's
I
a-
just think it's important to at least try to keep up with inflation.
absolutely. Please vote.
So I have 5 yes and Dan Marvin is.
And thank you for all of the EA members that worked. Pleasure. Yeah, no, because I guess. No thanks. Let's see. All right, 7D, memorandum of agreement with the CSEA. Recommended action, whereas the Lake Placid Central School District and CSEA Local 1000, AFSCME, AFL-CIO, Lake Placid CSD unit number 6804, Essex County Local 816 CSEA, have a binding collective bargaining agreement, CBA, which expires on June 30th, 2023. Whereas the parties wish to sign a 1-year memorandum of agreement, July 1, 2023 to June 30th, 2024, extending the CBA. Whereas the memorandum of agreement sets forth the agreed upon terms for this 1-year extension. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education approves this memorandum of agreement between the district and the CSEA as per the attached. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Thank you, Joe. Second.
Second.
Doug? Any discussion? If not, please vote.
Great job on that.
Five yes, Dan Cash abstained.
Right. 7E, F, and F were in consent. G, donation acceptance. Recommended action, whereas the Lake Placid Schools Board of Education Policy 6255, donations, gifts, and grants to the district allows for the superintendent of schools to accept on behalf of the board gifts, donations, and grants having the value of less than $1,500. Whereas the monies that have been granted as follows: Adirondack Foundation in the total amount of $53,000 as follows: Gerald K. Douglas Scholarship Fund, $4,000 from the Lake Placid Education Foundation Fund, or maybe I have that backwards. Yeah, sorry, Gerald K. Douglas Scholarship Fund is $4,000. Lake Placid Education Foundation is $20,000. Nash Williams Founding Family Scholarship, $29,000. Therefore, be it resolved, in accordance with policy 6255, the Board of Education hereby accepts the checks from the Adirondack Foundation and the scholarships referenced above, the total amount of $53,000. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Dan. Second?
Yes.
Colleen? Any discussion?
I think it's amazing that some of these scholarships have been around forever. Don't need it. Just a few years ago.
Thank you for the continued generosity of our community.
So for some reason, you can see on the board, it says Joan, Colleen, Locke, and Doug are not present at vote.
Oh, where'd you guys go?
Well, that's what I was wondering. So if you would just vote and I will change it, if you just tell me. Yes, for Colleen Locke, Joan, and Doug.
Yes.
Just imagine it's right, the three in a
I'm
row.
moving. There's something going on.
Like
over there.
literally dealing with Wi-Fi.
Yes, that's very bizarre.
Thank you, everyone.
That president, no longer a quorum.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for the generosity of our community. 7H was in consent. Brings us to the next, before we go to the cause, do we have any emails?
We do not.
Now we can link goals with agenda. I think the part, Tim, that you talked about specifically, just the benefits that we're getting from the community schools program is students first and foremost. That's really enriching students' lives. The program's great. It's great.
Presentations, I think I could probably go in a couple of different categories, but definitely students and this, but there's something else where that could go.
Here's the list.
Well, it would fall under probably finance too, just the money that we're saving.
Strategic goal number 2 under education. Receive presentation of the district's food nutrition.
All right, if you have any others, please send them to Karen.
What about Dana's report on the shed as community outreach?
And we had those 30 new technology things.
Oh, yeah, the VR headsets.
Yeah, so those would go under technology.
Is meeting dates and locations, 20th. Any old agenda topics?
We do.
Ron's not even here.
Nope.
So I see we're gonna do that on June 20th, though.
Yeah, so we'll talk about reading proficiency, third grade scores, science of reading, June 20th. And then we got some public hearings for the exit poll information in August.
New agenda topics. Right, so next we head into executive session. So recommended action, motion to go into executive session for purposes of discussing the superintendent's evaluation. Thank you, Joan. We'll give it to Doug. I can't show favorites to the treasurer. All in favor? Or no, we give a vote. Unless you want. All right, we will enter executive session at 7:04.
Did you go off YouTube first?